Hi, my name's Lucy. We're here at the Bank of England Club where we're officiating this week at Wimbledon qualifying in the lead up to the big Grand Slam.
Hello Lucy, nice to meet you. How long have you been officiating now and how did you get into it?
I've been officiating now for 10 years. I got involved when I was 17 when someone came to my school to ask me if I was interested in becoming an official. I figured I was never going to make it to Wimbledon as a player, so I accepted that and went to some training days, some selection processes, and went to Wimbledon the following year.
And what did the training days entail?
The training days are sort of seminars, like on a little bit of the rules, also where line-up umpires have to stand and sit, and then it's an on-court situation where we get players out there firing balls down and we practice shouting out very loudly.
And what's the best part of being an official?
For me it's definitely the travelling. I get to travel a lot of places around the world and I get to meet some amazing people, make some of my best friends that I hope to have forever with me travelling, so it's a great experience definitely, and then to be on the front line to watch the tennis is something that's a bit priceless.
Where's the best place you've been?
Difficult to say which one is the best. I spent time in Australia, in India as well, and I'll go back to India this year. The Olympics, I was lucky enough to be in Athens and Beijing, but I think for me Wimbledon is definitely my favourite tournament on no matter which soil. This is definitely my favourite, but actually this year I got to go to South America, so I would say that was definitely a highlight in the last couple of years.
So what's the worst part of being an official?
Sometimes it can be quite tiring. You're waiting around for matches, and for instance here it's pretty cold, let's be honest, and the rain and the weather and things like that, so that can get to you and can make you maybe a little bit ill, and travelling all the time as well can affect your body. So that, yeah, it's probably the worst bit, I suppose. Not really a terrible task.
So looking forward, what are your aspirations for the future?
I'm hopefully going to try and aspire to get to the Olympics in 2012 here in London. I'd very much like to do that, and I'd very much like to do it as a chair umpire, so I'm just kind of working towards that. Let's see how it goes, take every day as it comes.
Before you go out and officiate in a match, do you have any special preparations that you go through? Or?
Yeah, I guess we do. I always put on lots of sun cream, no matter where I am, because my Scottish skin would burn pretty quickly. Also tie your hair up, these sort of things, and then we take the players' names, and I always make sure I know exactly how to pronounce the names, have them written down before I go to court. Yeah, I know exactly where the court is and things like that.
Speaking of players, who would you most like to officiate a match between and why?
Oh, that's a tough call. Do you know, I don't know, there are a lot of players out there, and I'm not sure I'd like to say one player particularly above another, but I was always a big fan of Steffi Graf when I was a lot younger, so if she ever came back and played the veterans, I would very much like to officiate her, definitely.
And when you are officiating, how do you stay focused during the match? Does it ever get boring, or?
Yeah, sometimes, I mean, you got to be honest, sometimes, yeah, things can be a little bit boring, but you have to stay focused. You find things, I suppose, to focus on, and there's always things going on. I mean, you might have your rest time at change of ends, but in that time you're still looking at the line umpires, checking the balls, checking out the other courts, see what's happening there. So yeah, it's just you kind of learn to focus at particular times harder than others, I suppose. So you're focusing during the points, and then you're resting, but your peripheral vision is still going at the same time.
Have you ever been caught out in a match, like made a mistake, or have been hit by a ball or anything?
Well, I was hit by a ball many years ago, which was, well, a famous incident, I suppose. My parents thought it was famous. On centre court by Tim Henman doing a serve, so that was, when you got the big close-up, and so that was very exciting when I must have been about 19, and that was good.
Were you the line judge in the middle?
I was the line judge in the middle, yeah, so got hammered by Henman. But as for, making mistakes, yeah, I mean, every umpire makes mistakes, and I think that makes you a good official, to know that you're not perfect, and to know when you've made a mistake and to try not to do it again.
Speaking of mistakes, what do you think of Hawkeye?
Generally I really like Hawkeye, and so do most umpires actually. Hawkeye is it proves us right more than wrong, definitely, and it calms situations down immediately. There's no big drama, there's no problem. Yeah, that's the call, in or out, and then we move on.
Have you ever had any arguments with any players, or any players throwing any tantrums while you've been officiating?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, players argue with us all the time. It's a standard thing, you know, and you go on court and you just know that something's going to happen no matter what. And a lot of people say to us, you know, do you get abuse and things like that? And the thing is, yeah, we do, but it's just it's a daily thing for us, and it's not personal. That's the thing. We have to remember that, you know, the person is speaking to us as an umpire, not as me, Lucy. It's not my fault. It's just that they need to blame somebody. So they, you know, they take things out, or they talk about things harshly with the umpire, and we're basically a sponge just absorbing that whilst on court.
Do you have another job as well, or do you officiate the whole time?
I also work with the LTA to develop younger officials, so I do that well, on a kind of a part-time basis, basically flexible, so when I can ever fit that in. But apart from that, no, I'm full-time travelling.
Okay, and last question. How would you sum up officiating to any youngsters thinking of getting into it?
It's amazing, basically. In 2 words, it's amazing. It's officiating has changed my life. I'm from a very small town in North Scotland, and I have no idea what I'd be doing if I hadn't got into officiating. I've been around the world at least 7 or 8 times now. Been to countries that I never would have been to, speaking languages I never would have spoke. You know, eating food, the cultures, the people, and as I say, we're like one big family, so anybody that wants to get involved or just wants to try it, some people do it as a hobby, some people travel, you know, whatever, but it is an amazing experience, and yeah, you should definitely give it a go.